So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the target date for cleaning up the UK's waterways has been moved back by 36 years. So this is a Brexit thing. Targets to clean up the majority of England's rivers, lakes and coastal waters suffering from a cocktail of agricultural and sewage pollution have been pushed back from 2027 to 2063. So they pushed it back by over 30 years, around 30 years. Most politicians that are in Parliament will be ancient by then. Imagine being a developed country without clean water. Only the US, I think, would fit the bill, but we do now as well. Not one English waterway, including rivers, lakes, I'm not sure what that word is, and coastal waters, is in good ecological and chemical health at present, with pollution from water treatment, plants and agricultural damage the key source of damage. The Environmental Agency said that they were going to invest 5.3 billion over the next 5 years to stop further deterioration of waterways. And investing is all well and good, but given it takes years for these things to be fixed, short term won't help. Years, really, you're talking decades. The marine life is dying now. I've covered it a lot on the channel. You have water companies dumping tons of raw sewage that can take decades to clear up. Unless you stop the dumping, not much else will help. But the summary documents within their plan, the EPA, or the Environmental Agency, revealed the target for all 3,651 water bodies to achieve good chemical and ecological status. Until Brexit, the UK government was signed up to the Water Framework Directive, which required countries to make sure all waters achieved good chemical and ecological status by 2027 at the latest. So this is another huge Brexit win then. If the UK was in breach of the directive, we could have been taken to court, but the ECJ can't do anything about this now because of Brexit. Plus, British courts can't step in because the targets were changed. I do wonder if Northern Ireland would be an outlier in this. That could be quite interesting because of the level playing field and all that kind of stuff. And if you've got companies that can just dump raw sewage and pollutants into the water, you can get a competitive edge versus companies that can't. But again, that's a whole different thing. By 2027, only 4% of the waters are currently on track to being good overall condition. Only 4% by 2027. What have they been doing this whole time? Ali Morse, water policy manager for the Wildlife Trust, said this new target of 2063 meant rivers, lakes and coastal waters would not be healthy within the lifetimes of many people. For far too long, we have allowed our rivers and lakes to become poisoned, decimating aquatic wildlife and habitats. And post-Brexit, it's gotten worse. Companies claimed they could not get the chemicals that they needed due to import checks, so the UK allowed these companies to just dump raw sewage. This was only meant to be used in emergency situations, but given how often some of these companies are dumping sewage, you'd think we had an emergency every week. No river, lake or coastal water is judged to be in a good state right now. If no progress is made by the Environmental Agency, they said only 6% of rivers would be in good ecological condition by 2043. I mean, it's a bit conflicting because they said, only 6% would be ready by 2043. So it's just wild. I'll be honest. None of the rivers. It's wild. What does this mean for fish? That fish around the UK to be living in polluted water. Will they still be safe to eat? Or the fish caught in rivers? I just sigh a lot because it's just as a nation, we're not the biggest fish consumers in the world, but there are people who still eat fish and shellfish and things like that in the UK. Having such polluted water, what does it mean for that? What does it mean just for the standard kind of marine biology of the UK as well? All the damage it's going to do to the different areas. It's just madness. John Leyland, the Environmental Agency Executive Director, said whilst progress has been made to protect and enhance England's waters, it's clear that considerable time and investment will be needed if we are to see further improvement in our water environment that we all want. The thing is, this goes way beyond investment. Ofwat, the water regulator, needs way more funding to actually do their job, and the Environmental Agency, the relevant ones. They need to be able to expedite cases because the more dumping that happens, the worse the waterways become and harder it is to clean up the mess. Rules around dumping need to change, and CEOs of these companies need to be held more accountable. They also should have to put money towards the infrastructure or be nationalised. Also, we need to look at what chemicals these companies actually need and how hard it is for them to actually purchase them. Unless we do these things, we'll be stuck with half measures and rampant pollution. We're a country that it doesn't have to be like this. Other countries are not like this. Other developed nations are not like this. They have clean water. We don't, and we have to look at why they can have clean water and we don't. It's just tragic in the UK right now. We don't want to be like America. As much as we say, oh, America's so great, they have all of these things right. You don't want to have constant polluted water. They have fracking, which keeps their energy costs low, but it adds massive pollutants into their waterways. We don't want that here. I'll be honest. Maybe some people do because they're lunatics, but having clean water, I think, is important for any country, especially a country that can afford to have it. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.